a standard which is defined by ISO with the number 15408. So it's something that's widely recognized. It has European foundations, contrasting with NIST in the United States, but has a widely acceptance and recognition worldwide. So it's a brand of its own. Who uses common criteria? So basically, we have three types of users. We have the computer system consumers, or the governments, the defense industry, sectors, or corporate consumers where security is very important, very critical. And so basically, they can use the common criteria standard to specify in a standard way their requirements, what they need, so that they can ask the market to supply that, to provide in a way that's comparable between different suppliers. Of course, for the vendors, it's also very useful because it's a way for them to convey their message and to explain how their products are compliant and what type of features they have without needing to go into very specific or very proprietary ways of doing it. And also we have the testing laboratories which are involved in order to make sure that the claims that the vendors do actually are real and actually translate to the implementation. So with this structure, we are able to ensure consumers that they get what they want and that the vendors are really delivering what they say they are. Not dwelling into common criteria concepts, but just one that's important, which is the evaluation assurance level, commonly known as EAL. Basically, this is a numerical rating that defines the strength of the evaluation that was done. It goes from 1, which is the weakest, to 7, which is the strongest one, though usually you don't see more than 4 or 4+, because the top levels of the evaluation are exponentially harder to obtain and are only justifiable in really extreme scenarios like defense, and even in those areas, not for every situation. So EAL4 is, let's say, the average and the reference for the market, both for hardware and for software. Developers can claim compliance to a certain level, but they also can augment that level and add additional assurance requirements that they comply without needing to go to the immediate level. So I can choose EAL4 and add 1 or 2 instead of having to go immediately to EAL5. Going now to CSA Core and what that is, Thomas already spoke a little bit about that. So basically, it's a Eureka Eurostars funded project, which started in April 2009 and that we expect to conclude by the end of this year. It stands for what the project aims to deliver, which is a certified security core, which is open source and that we want to have evaluated as a common criteria EAL4+. I would like to point out that this is very unusual and very important and quite an achievement, because you can consider that the common criteria evaluation for any type of product is very costly. So if you consider this project to be an open source project, it would be impossible almost to have such an evaluation, because we are speaking about, I don't know, 200K of cost for an evaluation, which is impossible or very hard to get for an open source product. The business model would be hard to support it. So the idea of this consortium that I will describe is to come together, to join their efforts, and to apply to Eurostars, and as my final bullet says, to also try to not only develop that common criteria core, but also build it in their own products and base their products on it, so it could be, let's say, could have a ripple effect that I will describe a little bit further. So basically, not only develop the common criteria core, but also build on it in order to deliver added services, added value on it. What are the advantages that we consider? First of all, for customers, it's the guarantee that they are using the market or the best practices that the market likes to have in their implementations. There are certain countries that are demanding for common criteria evaluated products when they deploy national EID or national passport. So it's very important to be able to have those types of products. And also, we also target the integrators, because as the consortium partners, we want to involve other integrators that will be able to deliver additional services and additional features over the top of the security core, that will be able to develop security-enabled applications in a very quick time to market, because they don't need to concern themselves with the core part of the security that's already taken care of. And also, as I'll show you an example, be able to more easily achieve and maintain their own CC evaluation of their own product, like, for instance, EJBCA is doing for theirs at the moment. So it's something that's interesting for integrators. And finally, also to reduce the complexity of a product. For those of you who have an IT background, you know that the higher number of features that your product has to include on its own, the higher complexity, the added management you have to have. So by shifting some part of those requirements into the core and having it managed there, you make your product easy to manage, easy to develop and maintain, and so it's also an advantage for integrators. Regarding the consortium, it's formed by 4 companies that came together in their efforts. 2 of them, the names probably are already very familiar to you, because they are the conference hosts, or part of the conference hosts, which is PrimeKey and Multicert. PrimeKey is leading in open source PKI solutions, along with other areas. Multicert, based in Portugal, also is a trust center and also develops security solutions for the Portuguese citizen card, the electronic passport, etc. The ones that you might not know as much, I'll go into more detail, which is Confidus and eIMSA. Confidus based on Norway. They are also a trust center, and they lead the SSL market in Norway. And they are also one of the not very many, 3 ID suppliers that are recognized by the Norwegian government in order to allow EID authentication towards the services provided by the public sector, and only one of the 2 to provide the highest level of authentication. eIMSA, Turkish-based, delivering strategic security applications to public bodies in Turkey, and also very involved in R&D projects focused on the security area. So it was very fortunate that these partners came together and were able to join their efforts in order to make something that they could never do on their own, or very hardly. In terms of a word to our sponsors that we would like to thank, of course, first Eurostars. Without its support, this would never be possible. In terms of funding, just to make it clearer how the Eurostars program works, the funding, though decided and granted at the commission level, it's then the funding comes from the national budget. So it came from the Swedish, Portuguese, Norwegian, and Turkish budgets. Then we had 3 partners that we consider to be silver sponsors, which was SafeNet, Microsoft, and Atlassian. SafeNet provided 2 HSMs that we needed for the test environments, both ours and evaluation. Microsoft and Atlassian provided software licenses. And then we also have, and would like to thank Utimaco also on the panel, for providing two units of their HSMs, also for the same purpose. In terms of conformance claims, so this is more CC information. So for those of you who are familiar with it, you will understand what's there. I don't want to go into too many detail unless you would like me to. But basically, I can tell you that the common criteria, that CSA Core will be common criteria EL4 plus with an augmentation. We wanted to go a little bit further in an area. In terms of protection profile, we chose to go along with certificate issuance and management components, which is a basis of a protection profile that allows issuing of digital certificates, CRL, signature, and that includes audit logging, for instance, that includes authentication, identification. So it provides a wide variety of services that other applications can build on. And in terms of CC version, we are compliant to the latest version, which is 3.1. Another decision that was important for us to make, yes? Okay, I'll be quick. That was important to make is that when you do a CC evaluation, you have to choose the platforms that you need to support. Those are the official evaluated platforms. We wanted to go for 2 sets because we wanted companies to have, or governments to have the most, the choice that they would prefer. So you have a platform, which is Platform A, which is open source in nature, Red Hat, Postgres, JBoss, and then HSM SafeNet Luna. And then you have Platform B, which is Windows Server 2008, MySQL, Glassfish, and UTM-Micro Crypto Server. So if you want to deploy a common criteria evaluated platform, you need to choose from one of these or justify what are the changes. Just to give you an idea what it means to go through a common criteria evaluation, well, it means a lot of discipline and a lot of process and methodology that we already had, but we had to also put in place a lot of very thorough documentation that has to be very well controlled and has to cover system architecture, function specification, design, the subsystem interactions, the test plan, you name it, we need to document it in a rightful way and very thoroughly so that the lab can check on it and check it is actually applied. And the evaluation process as a whole took us about 13 months, so it was quite a ride. It's not something that you can rush. You know, usually in the IT area, people and customers tend to think anything can be done in a couple of weeks. This is not the case. This is something that you need to commit yourself as a group to do it, and you cannot really force it. He needs to follow his own path. So it's a demanding course. What's still ongoing and approaching my closure? Yeah, I'm almost there, completing the integration with partner products, which is PrimeKeys, eJBCA, Multicert's TSA, OCSP, and TSL, EAM's registered email server, and Confida's encryption email gateway. So this is the work that's still ongoing because the CSA core has already been recommended for evaluation. So the laboratory has already evaluated and agreed to have it evaluated. So only the certificate now is pending. This has also had a very positive impact in our partners because this is fostering common criteria evaluation of our partners' products. So eJBCA is undergoing the same road, which is going to be much easier for them than it was for the core because they already have the core to rely on. So as you can see, you have the core as the basis and you have applications above it. And so as my final slide, the consortium will now make sources and documentation publicly available. This is an open source project. Ensure the maintenance and improvement of the core. This is ongoing for at least 24 months, 2 years. Perform periodic common criteria reevaluation. So this is not static. Of course, new features will have to come out and we'll keep reevaluating the core periodically. Promote the product in workshops and conferences as I'm doing now, and also foster the integration into third-party products. This is not meant to be closed. We don't want to be only for using this core. We want you to come and make use of it. That's why we say that we encourage you to use it. Please check the website or address me later on. So if you are interested on using it, I'll be more than happy to point you to the right way and to help you make the most of this investment by the European Commission, and that we want to make the most of it. Okay, and so I'm ready for questions if you have any.
Yeah. Maybe if there are questions, maybe they could be asked after the
sure,
session,
sure.
since We have one more presentation to go, but which is, I think, very interesting. It's regarding the professional attributes in citizen cards. So handling attributes is difficult, but it's certainly a key to the success of EID and e-signature. So the presentation will be done by Gonçalo Cacer from the Portuguese government. Was a difficult.
Thank you. Well, some of you have seen my presentation earlier, so I'll go through the introduction slides really fast to recover some time, and just to present the project regarding professional attributes in our citizen card. This is an ongoing project. It's only been researched academically in Portugal. There's no example that I know of that does this kind of linking between professional attributes and a national ID card. So I will try not to go much into details, but I'm available for questions later. So this was the vision of e-government a couple of years ago, make it the administration more citizen-centric, and of course we did a couple of things to achieve that, to have a simplification agenda, have a common face like a citizen shop or a citizen portal. And one of the key enablers that were built was the citizen card, to be able to have a physical and digital document that gave each citizen a certificate for authentication and a certificate for a digital signature. It replaced 5 cards, and what we want to do now with this professional attributes linking is to replace infinite cards. I have each citizen with these 2 certificates. I have a nice infrastructure already disseminated, but I have a problem, is that I'm not only a citizen like Isabel, but I can be an architect. At the same time, I can be a teacher at some school. I can be a public officer in a sabbatical year. All of them at the same time. I can have a health insurance. I can own a small company and be the CEO or the administration or the CFO or something, etc., etc., etc. So, in spite of having replacing only 5 cards, my goal is to replace a card that says that I'm an architect, a card that says that I'm a teacher, etc. And without changing any of the current citizen card, without changing its infrastructure, I want to be able to authenticate myself as a doctor, and I want to be able to sign also as a doctor. So it should assume the form of an authentication and a digital signature in our many roles, not only as a citizen, but that has professionals in some areas. So, going directly to the subject, what we want is to, let's say I want to go to a business portal and I want to change the capital of my company, the social capital of my company. So what I would do is to log on to the business portal of Portugal and say that I want to log on as an administrator, the CEO of my own small or medium company. That business portal should access a new platform that we are designing right now, and technically I would say that it's simple technology here. It's just a new SAML profile with more attributes. It should access a new platform, and that platform should go in some kind of interoperability check with the Architect Association database if I'm really an architect. It should return that attribute in that new SML profile and go back to the business portal saying, yes, this person who has this certificate to authenticate herself is also not only a citizen of Portugal, but also an architect. And the same point can be done in a signature. A simpler explanation here, but I would say that again, the same SML profile with more attributes. It goes and gets a safe attribute from the Architects Association and does some kind of signature with, for example, a protocol like digital signature services. What we are doing right now is signing a document with XML Advanced Digital and Electronic signature, and I sign the document not only as a citizen, but again, I sign them it gets a signature certifying me as an architect from the Architects Association. And having this platform, I will be able to not only save a lot of money to my public administration, because they will not have the need to issue more cards to some public, for example, for me, I'm a public officer managing an agency. They will not have the need to give me an electronic certificate by itself saying that I am the manager of some agency. I can do that in the future with my citizen card. And I can do it without changing the citizen card. I can do it without changing the infrastructure and just adding a few more technological platforms in what I have today. So this is the goal. The project will go on till February next year. It has some academic papers that you can ask me later on or on a coffee break. But I guess the solution is rather simple, and the implementation should go on without many